once in a while, we get a new anime from a little company known as Gainax. Gainax has had this great track record behind them for the past 25 years or so, and in recent years have been pumping out some sweet new gems. This season, they bring us Medaka Box, the story of a student council president who makes a promise to her entire student body that she will solve any problem, anywhere, anytime. 24/7, 365. No matter the cost. You following me yet? Now, Medaka is a first-year student who became a student council president with 98% of the votes from her peers. It's because she's so smart. She recruits a childhood friend of hers, Zenkichi, onto the student council. Of course he's reluctant to help at first, because he's a big old tough guy and he just doesn't feel like doing it. But of course he changes his mind anyways, because the story wouldn't go anywhere if he didn't join. Because Medaka's hypnotic personality and natural talent to lead. Okay, so let's get into reviewing. I familiarized myself with the manga series before the release of the anime, and by that, I mean I read the first chapter, which just so conveniently was the first episode of the anime as well. Medaka's first note in the suggestion box is to do something about the punks that use the kendo building as their hangout spot to skip out on class, and do other cool stuff that I never got to do when I was in high school because I wasn't popular. Where was I? So Medaka and Zenkichi go over to the kendo thingy, where Medaka then proceeds to mercilessly whip all the punks into shape, both physically and mentally. Which I gotta say, the sequence they use for showing Medaka's mental superiority confused me at first, but I'll come back to that in a bit. Anyway, after she whips the kendo punks into shape, some more stuff happens that I'm not gonna spoil for you, because I really think it's well worth watching for yourself. And so for the second episode, I'm gonna say even less about it. But what I will say is that this is where the essence of the show really shines through. You see like classic bits of Gainax animation. The episode tackles two problems in the suggestion box that splits the show into two 11 to 15 minute segments. They both have thoroughly quick solutions and allow the opportunity to show some really great comedy and also some good character development. For example, in the first episode, I felt that overall, Medaka was going to be this Deus Ex Machina character that was just so powerful, strong, smart, and omnipresent character that she was just going to be the end-all be-all character. And what the second episode brought was the imperfections and personality flaws. She takes a drastic turn from being a one-dimensional character, and I love that. As a matter of fact, one half of the episode doesn't even involve Medaka because she opts out of a problem based on her own personal problems, leaving Zenkichi and Shirini to deal. Oh right, I haven't explained Shirini yet, have I? Yeah, she's a first-year student from another class that's always hanging around with Zenkichi. Her purpose is to be the all-knowing character that transfers important bits of information from one character to another in order to fill in plot holes, missing story elements when the character was away, or even do some exposition.
Clever girl.
Shirini ends up being the goofiest voice of reason character I've ever seen in an anime, and I love every second of it. She's funny, cute, and you can't help but wonder where she gets all this information that she passes along, but it's forgivable in the sense that she's a strange comedy element in a show that uses a lot of random stuff in the first place. So how about we go back to that visual issues that I told you about a little while ago. Gainax, in their Gainaxy fashion, make the visuals so flashy and supernatural that it took me a couple seconds to realize whether or not the show really did get supernatural, or if it was in fact just clever imagery. Luckily, after you catch on, you recognize the use of it for the rest of the series. And it does show up often. They use a lot of visual metaphors to display certain emotions and how other characters are feeling at that certain moment in time. Although it was confusing at first, I think it was very successful in the way that it breaks out from the typical anime Super D moments when you got the big old monster character yelling at the wiggly chibi character. Yeah, you know the ones. Gainax also never strays from any of their classic formulas either. By a show of hands, how many of you know what Gainaxing is? Well, if you watch the show long enough, you'll find out. It's the miracle of animation, people. Speaking of which, from what I've seen so far, the animation overall is, well, it's good. But I say this positively, because I've seen some previews and other things to come, and I'm expecting Gainax to hold up their end of the bargain when the time rolls around. And of course what I mean by this is they haven't really gotten a chance to have their animation style shine through yet. We've had bits and pieces, but nothing over the top yet that you see from everything else that they've put out. In conclusion, it's a show that has a lot going for it, and has the potential to be a really great school life comedy. The characters are funny, the visuals are new and interesting, and you got these bite-sized filler stories to help keep people who want just a good comedy interested. As for myself, I will continue to keep watching this show, and I look forward to what it's going to bring to the table next. I give Medaka Box a wicked cool B+. Stay classy, Gainax.